Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. Welcome back to another episode of the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things. And it's a great day to have a great day. Thank you so much for being here, Terry. I think
Russ,
you're a pirate now. Officially, you're a pirate.
Yay! Good. All right. When I was a little girl, I liked the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm glad to officially be a pirate.
No kidding. No
great
kidding.
to be here. Yeah, I mean, we lived in a lot of different places, but I think that we might have lived in Pennsylvania at the time that they went back to back in the World Series. So,
oh, nice. I want to tell people a little bit about you. And you're an author, speaker, coach. You help entrepreneurs and business owners kind of get moving forward, and which is a very important skill to be aware of this year, last year.
Yeah, definitely.
And for those that don't know you, kind of give us a backstory of how you got started and where you're arriving from.
Yeah, well, I mean, today I'm an executive and career coach and author, but I've been doing this full time since 2017. And before that, I had a 30-year career in marketing. The majority of which was with two large banks. And I eventually rose to head marketing for several of the businesses at the last bank where I worked. And then I got to a point where I just felt like it was time to do something different, and just happened to coincide with some changes that were going on at the bank. So I decided to leave, and I said to myself, what do you like to do and what are you good at? And as a leader, I had always spent a lot of time investing in coaching and mentoring people on my teams. And I always felt like that paid off for me. It was truly a win-win because people felt, happy and confident in their roles. They were doing a great job, but it made me look good too, because if you're a leader, you're only going to be as good as the people that are working for you. And if they can be, self-sufficient and confident and moving forward and, have good, be happy at work, you're going to get a lot more good, innovative work done.
Well, surround yourself with excellence. And the best way to do it is to help them become excellent, right?
Yes. Everybody is capable of it.
Yeah. One of my things, I want to learn something every day. I want to create something every day, and I want to help someone every day.
Yeah.
And it's it could be that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. However, the last year and probably this year is also going to be a challenging opportunity for growth for a lot of people that are not used to that, not used to coaching, not used to self-discipline in a way that provides value to themselves, through coaching or anything else like that. So what are some things that we can do to unwrap and unlock our excellence in ourselves, and some of the techniques that you're talking about in your book and some of your coaching programs to really kind of, that moment in time where you're talking to somebody and they all of a sudden they connect the dots and you can see it in their eyes and you say, oh, I get it.
Yeah. I believe it's all about the energy. And whenever we feel threatened, everyone naturally goes to that flight or fight response, right? Where we either want to avoid something because it's uncomfortable, it's painful, or if we feel cornered, we want to fight it, right? We want to be judgmental or defensive about it. And both of those levels of energy require a lot of energy, right? That's why we get that adrenaline spike whenever we feel threatened. But those levels of energy also cause us to sort of, physiologically narrow our line of sight, right? Like we're so focused on that threat that we don't see that there are actually opportunities around us. And so, what I really try to encourage people to do is, okay, well, let's take a look at what's going on here. Like when you're feeling threatened or you're feeling like you just really want to avoid something, that's not a state where you can actually get something done. So
Right.
what you want to do is like bring the heat down a little bit and, take a deep breath and step back and say, okay, what's my belief here? Because a lot of times we are really reactive to things and we think that we're immediately threatened, like it's literally life or death. And if we really look at the belief, like a lot of times when I'm working with people in a corporate environment and they're feeling really stressed at work, I'll ask them like, what's the worst thing that can happen in this situation? And they'll say, oh, well, and sometimes they'll like chuckle a little bit and they'll be like, well, I could get fired. And we really look at that and I'm like, okay, you just got a really good performance appraisal and a raise.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood that that's going to happen? And when they really sort of take a look at that, they realize, okay, well, maybe I can, let the heat down, right? Like I don't need to react so strongly to this and I can
Lower it
get curious.
lower it to
Yes.
simmer.
Yes, exactly. And get curious about what's going on and start to venture a little bit out of that comfort zone to say, well, what are the possibilities here? And one of the things that I heard this saying not too long ago, which is growth never happened in the comfort zone, right?
Absolutely.
You've got
Positively.
to venture out of that. But yet a lot of times when we start to, get to the edge of the comfort zone, we do go into the fight or flight because it feels uncomfortable and we feel like, oh my gosh, there's danger out there. And sometimes it's just, I wrote about this little, thought in my book that, sometimes we're so fearful that, we're so afraid that there's a boogeyman under the bed that we don't even want to look.
Yeah.
But then you look and it's dust bunnies, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. But, a lot of times we just put the blinders on and are like, it's too dangerous to look. What if something horrible's there, right? Well,
Well,
it's it,
it
it,
seems like the best entrepreneurs that I've engaged with are the ones that understand the fears, and they also have this tendency, this narrative in their mind's eye that they actually can see other obstacles that may not necessarily stop them and hold them back, but it's okay, recognize that it's there
yeah.
and then navigate around it or through it or over it. And it's just continue. And one of the things we were talking about before the show is, we alluded to the idea of just showing up, being consistent, practicing that discipline of, being outside the comfort zone,
Hmm.
pushing the boundaries, learning and earning, these kind of practices that a lot of people, they don't consciously do, and they just continue to participate in. And I think a lot of people have an opportunity to actually expand on that idea and that concept and be more diligent about it, more take action with that. So is that something you pursue in your coaching activities, making more people present in the moment, make sure that they're aware of the surroundings, make sure that they
Yeah.
understand their opportunities rather than their obstacles?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It all begins with awareness, right?
Mhm.
Because if you're not aware of what's going on, or even what's causing you to react in that way, you're really sort of, a victim of the circumstances rather than somebody that's, in control of your own destiny. And I really try to help people, if they're feeling uncomfortable or in pain or whatever, stressed out, there's a reason for it, and it probably is rooted in a belief that they have.
Yeah.
It's and a lot of times that's attached to a fear, which causes them to act in a certain way. But if you go back to what's the belief here, and for
Yeah.
example, sometimes people will come to me and say, well, I've got this goal, right? Or I've got something that I kind of have a sense that I want to do. I really help them get really clear on the goal, and it might be, if they're at a job they don't like, it might be like, I want to get out of this job. And I'm like, that's not a really clear goal. What would you actually like to do that you're not doing now? I mean, and it,
Mm.
it pertains to business as well. I mean, I'm working with a client right now who, um, actually has a candle making company, and COVID has impacted her company tremendously because she's trying to manufacture and people have gotten COVID. And, manufacturing, in a socially distanced environment is really difficult. But, really, instead of feeling fearful that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to make orders because I can't keep up with the volume or whatever, let's step back and say, okay, what is under your control? What can you do? And, step away from that, belief, even if it's like very faint, that, I'm going to go out of business. Right. I mean, you can't, if that happens, it happens. But being in a space where you're really believing that and it's having an impact on you is actually going to take away from the energy that you need to make yourself be successful.
Well, there's people that actually, there's essentially two kind of people that say I can't and people say I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're usually right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And and in coaching, a lot of times, I liked what you were talking about with the obstacles, because I think what happens, and very often with very driven people too, that they're on this path and they're putting the pedal to the metal and they're like going so fast that when they hit an obstacle, they're so close to it that they can't see that there's any option, and so they're stuck. They're just sitting there like, it's almost like they're on a trail and they hit this boulder and they're so close to the boulder that they can't see that there's any way around it. And, what I try to do is like help them step back, or maybe, climb up onto a ladder and say, oh, look, I can see beyond this. I use this analogy a lot, that it's sort of like, trekking up a mountain, right? Like when you're at the bottom, you can see the top. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, that's my goal. That's where I want to go to. But you've got to take a lot of steps before you get there, and you're going to run into a lot of obstacles. And sometimes people will get to a point where, they hit that boulder and they can't see the top of the mountain, and they start thinking that, I don't know if this goal is possible, right? Because they've sort of lost perspective. And a lot of times too, will not give themselves credit for how far they've come. A lot of us will just keep like looking ahead and say, gosh, that's way too far. I haven't made any progress. And I really try to help people also look back and say, like for my one client, I'm like, you've run your business for 20 years. Yeah. Like you've overcome a lot of things to get here. You will overcome what you need to get past here too. And I think a lot of times I've seen this in 2020, that a lot of times when, people are under pressure, it actually inspires them to address things that were tolerable under different circumstances. Right.
We're reflecting on a lot of different things in 2020, and actually evaluating how important is this really in my life. And I want to speaking of importance, I want to talk a little bit about the pirates in the room. Nick is in from Canada, the Great North, and also Michael Hubicki, thriving mayor. He's out there doing some great work with mayors around North America. And hello, Russ and Terry from Frozen Bay of Quint? Is it Quint? And Darren Birch, he's here in Arizona. Good morning, Captain. Good morning, Darren. How are you doing? Learn, create, help every day. Love it, Russ. And Silver Fox, Darlene in from Florida. Thank you so much for being here, especially on YouTube. She's on YouTube. If you didn't know this, you can go to YouTube. You can actually get a reminder for the show. LinkedIn doesn't always provide that very effectively every day, but YouTube has a pretty good system. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube. I'm growing that. And Angie, she's up your way. Good morning, everyone in Wisconsin. Happy Friday. It is a happy Friday. I love it. And Lori Scott in from Colorado, the Queen of Green. She's been on the show this week. So amazing individual, doing some great stuff. Wendy, she's Chicago area. Good morning, Pirates. Good energy is a precious gift we receive from others. Absolutely. Howard Kaufman, he's in he's a great entrepreneur and a purveyor of some amazing mouth products that I use every day. Thank you, Howard. Love it. That's an ongoing challenge. We get stuck in tunnel vision without stepping back and looking at the broader opportunity that is emerging. It's the thing that the obstacle is the way, right? So, and Michael Hubicki says, we have to think we have a problem with reality. We think we have a problem with reality when reality, we have a thinking problem. I love that.
Yeah.
Mike Baker and from Florida, Darren. Yes, a happy worker is a productive worker. And Russ nailed it. If each day we make a positive impact on the world around us, as little as making another person smile, we can make this world a better place. Great host and guest. Thank you so much, Darren. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate you and all the things that you're doing. Michael says, self-awareness and the victim of mentally immaturity. Victim mentality immaturity. I'll get it out eventually. So this is fantastic. Can't live in fear. Anxiety held me back for so long. I know I can. We often pull our own obstacle in our way. Obstacles. Yeah, she said obstacles. So all of these people, thank you so much for being here. I just really appreciate and love the pirate community. And Terry is talking about some of the things that she brings to the table. She has a book out. Tell us about your book, Terry, and how people can track it down and get a copy for themselves.
Yeah, my book is called Winning the Game of Work, Career Happiness and Success on Your Own Terms. And it is available on Amazon all over the world. And it's also at barnesandnoble.com. I wrote this book because when I'm the first generation college graduate. And when I got out of college and started working in the corporate world, I didn't really have any role models to kind of show me how you really get ahead at work. And I really thought that a lot of the things that I did at school would allow me to move up. And over time, what I realized that, first of all, I didn't look at work as a game. I just looked at it like, okay, everything's very cut and dry. You come in, do your work, keep your head down, and you'll get recognized and promoted. That's not how it works. You really need to think about how you add value. You need to advocate for yourself. You need to build networks. You need to really think about how you invest your time and energy. Are you investing it in the highest value work? Yeah. There's a lot of mistakes that people make in terms of like, oh, I have to finish everything on my to-do list. And, I was sometimes puzzled by people that, would get promoted. And in my lowly opinion, I thought, well, they aren't, they're not coming to the meetings. They're not returning phone calls. They're not returning emails to me, right? But they were focused on the work that somebody probably higher up in the organization thought was important. Right. Yeah. And so they were really investing their time where they were going to get the biggest payoff for the organization, and they were rewarded for that. Yeah. And I think that, a lot of us come in, we're like, well, I just want to be like that, gold star worker. And you can do that and you'll probably have, get paid decently or whatever, but you're not going to move up if that's the approach that you take. So I just wanted to share a lot of the lessons that I learned and a lot of things that I work with people on right now. Like, for example, identifying leverage points in your life. A lot of times people are just, sort of spreading their energy like peanut butter over everything rather than, prioritizing and, setting goals and committing to those goals, or time blocking, or what I call task batching, where you're really using your time a lot more effectively, instead of being, pulled in a million different directions. Like, oh, my email dinged.
I want to pause right there. I want to pause and go a little deeper on this, because I think it's really important, because I suffer from the yes factor. Because the busier I get, the more I have a tendency to, I'm more productive when the busier I am.
Yeah.
And it kind of perpetuates itself. And it's a source of burnout in a lot of respects. And also, I think I have a difficult time focusing on fewer things because of the diversity in my interests.
Mm-hmm.
I've climbed the corporate ladder more than once.
Mm-hmm.
I was not necessarily what I would consider rewarded for that effort in a way that was valuable long term. And so I've always been an entrepreneur on the side. I've always
Mm-hmm.
had a side hustle. I've always done things my own way. And one of the things that I've noticed about myself is, and maybe some other people can relate to this, is that we throw a lot of things out there to see what our feedback is. What do we find joy in doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that we love to create, and what do we, it's Ikigai, the process of identifying what you love to do, what do people love you to do, what will they pay you for,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of brings you joy. And I'm messing it up, but there's a process that you go through, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a process that you can go through. You look it up, Google it. And I just love this idea that there are certain things that we love and enjoy that will bring value to the world. And if we can find that combination that we find joy in, it
Mm-hmm.
may not be every day
Right.
unicorns and rainbows, but we find something that we love to do. And that really is an amazing opportunity. And I just love when that happens in my life. And so how do you guide people to that point in their life?
Yeah.
They're in corporate world. They may not necessarily, they're doing what they went to college for and what they
Yeah.
trained to accomplish, but they really are not finding any joy in their world. How do you
Yes.
steer them in a direction that is maybe more enlightening and more inviting? Or
Yeah. I mean, I actually work with a lot of people that, have been doing something for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they're good at it. They were educated in it. They make good money, and they hate it.
yeah,
Um, and I will tell you that I'm so thankful that when I graduated from college, my boyfriend's mom gave me What Color's Your Parachute? And she said, do not even start interviewing until you read this book and you do the exercises.
yeah,
And I'm thankful because I didn't really think about the fact that you should start with yourself and say, like, what is it that you like to do and what are you good at? And that really helped me a lot whenever I started interviewing, because I could really, speak with, passion about why I thought I'd be good at the jobs I was interviewing for. But I really help. I say to people when they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm just so unhappy," and a lot of times they know what they want to do, but they will immediately start saying, "Well, I'd really like to, run my own business, but." I got kids in college and, the mortgage and my wife stays home, or, whatever, like all of the reasons why they can't do it are all bound up with the thing they want to do. And I just tell people, like, look, these are two separate things. Do not kill your baby in the cradle. Okay. If this is the thing that you really want to do, it's okay. Honor it. Put it over here. It doesn't mean you need to quit your job today and go
yeah,
do it, but honor that.
yes,
And then separately start thinking, what are some ways that I could get closer to that? Let's brainstorm in like a fresh environment that's not, infected with your fear,
yeah.
and
It's like
that's
Angie says. Angie says, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
right, right. But people, I mean, of course we all want to survive, right? You were I think somebody made the comment earlier about, the victim mentality, it's immaturity. Even the most, I'm sure the Dalai Lama every once in a while is fearful, right? And it's just a matter of like how long you stay in that, right? You recognize it and then you get curious about like, well, why am I feeling this way? What,
Yes, darling.
can I shift myself to something that's more productive?
Well, we have, anybody that has been in business long enough picks up a lot of skills they don't even recognize they have.
Yeah, true.
It's
Very
all
true.
these ancillary skills, negotiating, navigating, moderating,
Mm-hmm.
bringing a meeting together, sending out emails,
Sure.
correspondence, communication. All of these things add up to an abundance of effort and time and energy. And there's two ways. I love what Mike Rowe says about work. He says, if you can't find the job you love, learn to love the job you have.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so there's a lot of things that we can actually, it's perception. It's our own reality.
Yeah.
We can choose to have gratitude for what we have. And right now, a lot of people are grateful for the job they have. They may not
Yes.
love it. They may feel like something is missing. And a lot of times what we can do is have a hobby or something that brings us joy, that
Yes.
allows us to enjoy our work more. So,
Yeah, so true. I mean, I think maybe because I grew up in more of a blue collar background, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get educated and I want to go out and get like a good, high paying job so I can like go to Hawaii and stuff like that, stuff that I wasn't able to do when I was a kid. There were a lot of things that I wanted to do. And so that was part of what drove me. But, and so I was very career oriented. But, happiness is not about careers. It's about spending your time doing things that bring you joy. And a lot of people do look at their job like a job, and that's fine, right? You can go to work and do your job. But if it's like draining the life out of you, you might want to take a second look at it. But if it's just like, yeah, it's a job, but I have all this other stuff over here that I really enjoy doing, and that's fulfilling. I mean, I really feel like it's about balance. And, even in my last corporate job, I would look at, I was at the last company I was at for 12 years. And I'd say the majority of the time that I worked there, about 70% of what I did in my job, I enjoyed. And then there was about 30% that was like a pain in the neck, right? But the
that's
balance was fine. But then, in the last couple of years, the balance shifted where, I was like, I have to work so hard just to do my job. And it just wasn't, the tank was getting down to empty because there wasn't enough, being deposited into it to, for me to be able to tolerate the things that I didn't enjoy.
Well, when your tank gets low, you have to look at other opportunities to get a refill.
Yeah, definitely.
Darlene says, that's my approach with clients, strength-based. My clients start the same, Terry. So, Mike Baker, do you do what you have to until you can do what you want to? That's absolutely true. Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I mean,
Science says, thank others for how they help us. And I thank you, Hyatt, for being here. I really appreciate the fact that everyone's here today. Darlene says, don't stay where you're infected with your fear. Wow. I hope I quoted that correctly.
It's close enough.
Close enough. It's good. We love it.
Yeah.
Jenny Gold. Jenny Gold's in that room. Good morning, Russ and Terry. Jenny's an awesome individual out of Colorado. So there's so many things that we can do with our lives and so many choices we have. It often confuses me. You ask kids in high school, it's like in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, it's the wrong way to pursue it, because it's like you don't know enough about life to even understand what brings you joy. And a lot of careers, very, very valuable careers, are not necessarily oriented to going to college and get out of college.
True.
And
very true.
You go the trades. I grew up in the construction industry.
Mm-hmm.
I was a musician, made a good living, and it brought me a lot of joy and a lot of experience and amazing life. And I've had so many different experiences that it's just, I wouldn't trade it for a thing.
The world is full of possibilities, and we get so stuck a lot of times thinking that like, oh, there's just one path that I take, and oh, if I fall off the path and then, my life is over. You know what? Sometimes when you fall off the path, you discover I can go in any direction. I don't have to stay on a path that somebody else carved. Like we all, I mean, I truly believe this, that we all have gifts. We're all here for a reason. And if we want to live a happy life, find out what that reason is and go do it. Like we really admire people, in the public world that kind of live what we call authentically.
Yeah.
Right. But yet sometimes we feel like, oh, well, I have to live according to a rule that somebody else made. Right. Why? Like, why would somebody else have the right to judge us?
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
that's an amazing idea and an opportunity. The two most important times in our life is the day we were born and the day we find out why.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
And it's really important for us to enjoy everything we can. And I would suggest that you become a pirate. So, because it's
Okay.
the right thing to do. Now that you're a pirate, Terry. So Terry, before we wrap up today, I want to allow people to know how to connect with you and reach out, and if they want to engage and continue the conversation.
Okay.
How do people,
sorry, Russ.
no, how do you like to have people connect with you?
They can reach out to me through my website, which is terrybmcdougall.com. Also on LinkedIn, and my handle on LinkedIn is Terry B. McDougall. My book's on Amazon, and I also just started a podcast, which is called Marketing Mambo. And I mentioned I had been a marketer for 30 years, and I just talk about following your heart or whatever. I just realized that I love talking to smart people about marketing. So that's what I do. And so if you're a marketing nerd like me, maybe you might enjoy some of the conversations that we have out there. And the podcast is at marketingmambo.net.
I got into advertising in 85. So.
Yep. So, yep. We're that's about whenever I started my career too, 86.
I'm a nerd in the herd. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And everyone, connect with Terry. If you're not connected, tell her you're a pirate and let her know that you're part of the community and you want to connect and engage, learn more, start a conversation, allow people the opportunity to open up and have a dialogue about life, liberty, and some of the things that are important to you. And also, recognize that we all are part of this community and we're all doing something that we can do to help each other out. So I encourage everyone to connect with the Pirate Broadcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the podcast, leave a review. It helps everybody expand and inspire other people around the world. And I just thank you so much for being here. I love you all, because kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy the day. Thank you so much for being here, Terry.
Thanks, Russ. It was fun.
Be in touch. Take care. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.